Today we have a loaded show. Spring break chaos in Florida again. Joe Kent, this story gets crazier and crazier as the days go on. And lastly, we're going to talk on the flag football fanatics. Last night they had their draft. Logan Paul was there talking a lot of smack to Tom Brady. I think it's going to be a fun experience on Saturday. I just can't wait to see what the product's going to be and if these guys truly show up. But first, I want to start with the spring breakers down in Florida, again, causing chaos. Again, the fighting, kids are getting shot. And we'll roll this clip, but I'm going to give my thoughts on exactly where we're at with just our culture today and our society, because this is a society problem. It's a cultural problem, and this is why it's resonating when it comes to spring break and everything else that's going on in our society. Roll the clip.
Well, as spring break travelers struggle to get to their destinations amid the partial government shutdown impacting TSA agents, there could also be issues once they arrive. This is video of a brawl recently in Daytona Beach, Florida. Officials there report at least 4 shootings and multiple fights, all tied to spring breakers. Over the weekend, more than 80 people were arrested. At one point, there were fears of a stampede because of a rumored shooting on a beach, but police say the panic was actually caused by people crushing water bottles. So let's bring in the chief of the Panama City Beach Police Force, Chief J.R. Talamontes. Chief, thank you so much for giving us some of your time. At least 4 shootings over the weekend. What is going on here?
These kids have lost their mind. This takeover culture that's plaguing this country is a direct responsibility and is a direct effect of these parents not doing what they're supposed to be doing, is parenting their children and relying on law enforcement to do that for them. It's a shame what we're seeing across this country in regard to spring break.
I was going to say, law enforcement are the ones who have to step up and try to get things under control here.
Stop the clip. Exactly right. Takeover culture, you know, the viral clips. That's what these kids are going for these days. But the bigger question is, where are the fathers in all this, right? Fathers are so important because they set structure, they give foundation. And if I had to bet, a lot of these kids, if father's not involved, there's a lot of broken homes. I'm not saying all, but I would say a high percentage of these kids don't have a foundation at home. And that's why you fathers are so important, because what you do with your kids is a reflection of what happens in our society, how you teach them to be men or young girls, right? And when you're not involved with your kids, this is the product of what you get, right? Miami Beach had a huge, huge problem, and they have been able to clean up their act, and they've gotten everybody out of there, and they have very, very strict laws. And the rest needs to happen in Daytona Beach, Panama City, the same thing. Get them out of our cities, because you're impacting local businesses, people that have worked their whole entire lives to open up their shop, open up a restaurant. And now you got these kids coming in, vandalizing, right? Causing fights, putting a strain on the police force. Kids are being shot. So at what point do these cities continue to allow this? And I'm sure they're trying to implement certain rules and laws to avoid this. But I think it's a bigger systemic problem, and it starts at home. The foundation, the culture that we're setting. The biggest problem right now that we're facing with our kids is social media. Social media is influencing our young generation. But we can help stop that by being present with our kids, understanding what they're watching, explaining how things work in the world to them. But if you're not present and not involved, and you have a broken home, and mom has 3 or 4 jobs to make ends meet, then you have these problems. This is why we're here. It's no secret, right? I just think it's a bigger systemic rooted problem, and it's happening all through the state. Now I'll roll this clip in Fort Lauderdale, another fight. Just let you know, everybody's searching for that viral moment. Look at this kid knocked out. I don't even know if he's shot or if he's knocked out, but he's not even conscious. It's just crazy to me. Look at this. It's disgusting. And then they confront police officers, which is the worst part, and law enforcement that's risking their lives every single day. And they got to deal with these idiots. Just a shame, man. It's a shame where we're at. Look at this clown. Just incredible. Look at him. Trying a police officer. Wow, you're a real tough guy. You wouldn't last 2 seconds in prison. Tough guy. So it's just a shame. You can stop the clip. It's just a shame of where we're at today, and it's a reflection, again, of what broken homes look like, and it's resonating or it's spilling over into our society. So fathers, I implore you, if you're going to have kids and you're going to bring them to this world, be responsible for your kids. But this can't happen. This right here is unacceptable. Because I'll tell you what, if it was my kid, I'm beating their ass. And the last thing I'll leave with this whole spring break thing, we're living in a godless society. God is not involved or present. We may say he's involved, but he's truly not involved, because if God was involved in these kids' lives, they would have a framework to live by and understand that they need to be a contributor to society, not a strain on society. And until we don't start bringing God back in the home setting, we're going to continue having these problems. I'm a big believer in that. You can agree with me, not agree with me, but I know what works in my opinion and in my home, and I've seen what's worked with my friends and families, and I've seen what a present father looks like. And I would say 9 times out of 10, God is in the home, right? And we have to go back to our Christian roots and start creating frameworks within the home, a foundation around God and not what the world is offering. I lived in my 20s, and I'll tell you what, I was living a very godless life, and I'm just glad I never got into trouble like this, because it was around, and I could have been asking for it, but thank God saved my life, and today, I'm in a different place in my life. But for these kids, I pray for these kids. I call them idiots, and that's just all tongue in cheek, but they're children of God, and I hope that they can find God one day and create a better life for themselves and create a better life for their communities and the people that they get to impact every single day. So that's my thoughts on spring break. Just saw these clips, and I figured we should have a conversation, and just sad. It's sad that this is the state of where we're at. On to our next story, Joe Kent. Just a crazier story. The more that comes out on this story is just incredible. He's the former national counterterrorism director. He ends up resigning, putting a letter out that he's against what Trump and the administration is doing with Iran. And now he's under FBI investigation. He goes on on a podcast and says basically Charlie Kirk he was implying that Charlie Kirk was basically murdered by Israel. We'll roll those clips, but first we'll show the clip on the FBI investigation.
We're continuing to track developments about Joe Kent. He is the former head of the National Counterterrorism Center. He resigned yesterday. He said he was resigning because he could not stay at his post as the Trump administration was carrying out its war in Iran. Now Fox News with this just broke within the past hour or so, saying the FBI is investigating Kent over allegations that he leaked classified information, according to 3 sources familiar with the matter. Fox News Digital sending this out, saying that the probe predates Kent's departure from the government. The FBI declining Fox News' request for comment. Fox News Digital has also reached out to Kent by phone and email for comment, not immediately hearing back on the matter. But for now, we're basically tracking Joe Kent as he resigned yesterday from his role as the nation's top counterterrorism official. As I mentioned, he cited his opposition to the U.S. war in Iran as his reason for leaving the post. He wrote in a statement yesterday that he cannot in good conscience support the ongoing war, arguing that Iran posed no imminent threat and that the conflict marked a break from the administration's prior approach to avoiding prolonged wars in the Middle East.
In part, the story's all over. I just don't even know. And whoever tells you they don't know unless you're in the inside. Both sides are going to leak out information to fit their narrative. Was he truly leaking information? Who knows? Is it more a vendetta by the Trump administration for what he did yesterday. Supposedly that investigation had been going on. He had been on prior podcasts talking about that Iran was a threat to our national security. So who do you believe in this instant, right? Does the Trump administration have an agenda, or are they telling the truth? Or is Joe Kent, which is a decorated guy, right, through all the ranks that he's been through and respected, very, very well respected guy, coming out and saying, no, I do not agree with this war. He put that letter out. So who do you believe in this instant? Then he goes on his show talking about, Charlie Kirk, and implying, he's not saying it, but he's implying that Israel had something to do with his death. Roll the clip.
And then, Charlie Kirk is killed publicly in a very horrific way. And we're not really even allowed to look into that at all. And Charlie Kirk was one of President Trump's closest advisors, and he also advocated heavily against a war with Iran. He was in the Oval Office in the lead up to the 12-day war. I wasn't particularly close with Charlie. He was very gracious to me when I was running for Congress, very, very supportive. So we knew each other. And the last time I saw Charlie Kirk on this earth was in June in the West Wing, in the stairway. And I said hi to him, and he looked me in the eye, and he said very loudly, and it's a small, you've been in the West Wing, it's small, it's a tight space. And he said, Joe, stop us from getting into a war with Iran. Very loudly.
He was single-minded.
And he walked off, and he went, I believe, into the Oval. So when one of President Trump's closest advisors, who is vocally advocating,
hold it right there. We'll hit play again. But yeah, there's a lot of videos of Charlie out there against this Iranian war. Listen, I do not know what's in play. Did Israel really have something to do? Maybe. It's in the realm of possibility. Were they very paranoid on Charlie Kirk's side, on Candace Owens' side, and going down this conspiracy theory? I don't know. Maybe. What do you believe these days, right? Like, there's so much different information and opinions, and I know Candace has put text messages out that Charlie was worried about the Israelis, and that he was going to pull support from them, and there was a lot of stuff going on there. But who do you believe in this instance? Continue rolling the clip.
For us to not go to war with Iran, and for us to rethink at least our relationship with the Israelis. And then he's suddenly publicly assassinated, and we're not allowed to ask any questions about that. It's a data point. It's a data point that we need to look into.
What do you mean when you say we're not allowed to ask any questions about that?
We've been told that this individual, Robinson, is a lone gunman, and maybe he is. But the investigation that I was a part of, the National Counterterrorism Center was a part of, we were stopped from continuing to investigate. And the FBI will say that they stopped that because they wanted to have turn everything over to the Utah state authorities. Everything's going to trial. It's very, very sensitive. But there was still a lot for us to look into that I can't really get into. But there was still linkage for us to investigate that we needed to run down. And I'm not making any conclusions. I'm not saying
no, I don't think you are.
Because of this happened. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying there's unanswered questions. We know the pressure because of the text messages that have been made public, that Charlie was under a lot of pressure from a lot of pro-Israel donors. And again, we know Charlie was advocating to President Trump against this war with Iran.
Yeah. So again, who do you believe? Robinson's going to go on trial. I think a lot's going to be revealed there. I will be interested to see if they're going to allow cameras in that trial. I'm not sure if that's been approved yet or not. It's a state case, so they should allow it. Usually federal cases, they do not allow cameras in the courtroom, but here they will allow it. I think there's a lot to be seen with this whole Charlie Kirk situation. Could he be telling the truth? Yeah, he could be. But who knows these days? I don't know what goes on behind closed doors. And there's a lot of, we live in a world of just deep conspiracies, which, by the way, a lot of these conspiracies have been proven to be true. So could this be another conspiracy that's proven true? I guess time will tell with this. It's just the world is more complicated. The older I get, the world is more complicated than when we know. And as you move up in circles, right, and you move up in life, you start understanding that things don't work the way the media wants to portray it, the way they want to tell you the story. There's many sides to a story. And what's the truth at the end of the day, right? The truth is so distorted today. it's an alternative reality, as they say. And what do you believe, right? So I guess, he may be saying the truth. There may be a bigger conspiracy here, but I think we got to give it time, because I think we go too deep into these rabbit holes sometimes with not having the factual information on all these things. And it's a lot of podcasters out there giving their opinions on things that they may or may not know. But I think that just for the sake of our sanity as a nation, I think we need to take a step back and take a breather and let things play out a little bit more before we jump to conclusions when it comes to this whole Charlie Kirk situation, even the Iran-Israel situation as well. I've been an advocate of what Trump has been doing. I think he saw a weakness in Iran, and he took his opportunity for regime change. And he's knocked out many of their leadership. They're decimated, right? I think the biggest thing that's in play right now is the Strait of Hormuz. And I think that may be resolved next week if they go take Karg Island, which there's a lot of speculation and talks that they're sending the USS Tripoli towards Karg, right, to take it over with 2,500 Marines. And that will solve the problem of the Strait of Hormuz, and solve the oil crisis that we have right now globally. Right now, gas is almost at $4 here in the state of Florida. I think I saw 409 regular driving into the office this morning. So I think there's a lot of things that still need to play out. I think there's a lot of speculation. Israel, for some reason, is at the forefront of all this and getting a lot of blame, and they think that they have dragged Trump into this. I think there's a bigger implication when it comes to resetting the world order. And I think that's where Trump is coming. And this is speculation on my side. Again, I'm not in the room. I don't know what's going on. All I can see is what the information that's in front of me and make the best possible opinion. And I think there's more to this than just Israel being Israel and controlling and making Trump the puppet. I think that remains to be seen. So I just think, look, nobody really truly knows unless you're inside those rooms and you have actual information on these particular subjects. Outside of that, all this is speculation and a bunch of, people with opinions. So that's kind of like, it's as real as I can be with you guys, right? Like, that's where we're at. So, yeah, there'll be more developments in this story, I'm sure, and we'll see what happens with this FBI investigation on Joe Kent, and we'll see what happens. On to our last story. The Flag Football Fanatics Classic is this weekend. NFL guys are going to be playing against each other. Tom Brady, Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow. They both have teams. So Brady's with Jalen Hurts. Joe Burrow's with Jaden Daniels, and they drafted teams last night. So we'll get into all that. Tom Brady's at the forefront of this. The Saudis have put money. This was supposed to happen in Riyadh for Riyadh season in Saudi Arabia. Obviously, because of the war, they couldn't. So they're playing this in LA. And last night was the draft, and Kevin Hart was there, Drewski, Logan Paul, and we'll get into all that. But I'm very fascinated by this game, and we had a podcast with the Team USA quarterback Nico Caceres. He came on and spoke about just the event in itself and where the NFL's at with this whole flag craze and where's this all going, right? So I have a clip here of Tom Brady talking about the event, and then we'll get into other parts of last night.
All right, get ready, because this Saturday it's the Fanatics Flag Football Classic on Fox. It's being held at BMO Stadium in Los Angeles. The groundbreaking tournament from Tom Brady and Fanatics Studios brings together the NFL's biggest stars, elite global athletes, and the official U.S. flag football national team to once and for all crown a true world champion in flag football. Earlier today, we caught up with Tom Brady. He was in Brooklyn for the opening of his 13th Card Vault by Tom Brady location, and our own Ryan Christopher was able to speak with him.
You're going to be back on the gridiron this weekend for the first time since 2023 playing flag football. How cool is that? And you gearing up for the Olympics? You still practicing?
I'm getting my competitive juices out there flowing again. I love sports and I love throwing the football. And the best part about this game, I don't get hit.
There you go.
So that's going to be really fun, just to get out there and throw passes and hang out with my friends and have a great event out in Los Angeles.
And best of luck with the Olympics 2028. Let's go.
Appreciate it.
Our captain.
Let's go.
Team USA. Let's go.
Bye, guys.
Cut the clip. Man, I just love Tom and how intense. And last night you saw the intensity. And I know it wasn't for show. Tom really wants to go out there and still prove that he can play and sling it, which he is. Tom is going to go out there and sling it. He's the GOAT for a reason. He keeps himself in phenomenal shape. I still think he could play probably in the NFL. He's probably better than half of the quarterbacks in the NFL, and I would take him over many quarterbacks in the NFL today. I just can't wait to see what this looks on Saturday. Last night, Logan Paul's there, comes in WWE style, starts talking a bunch of smack, and Tom Brady, roll the clip.
I'm gonna be trash. We're gonna be all your brothers,
Kevin Hart's the best. And let me tell you, I'm not the biggest fan of Kevin Hart's stand-up comedy. I'm really not. I don't think he's that talented, but I think he's talented everywhere else in his career. I think from a movie perspective, he's great. I enjoy all his films. But off the cuff, improv, that's Kevin Hart right there. That's Kevin Hart at his best. When he can just improvise and just hone in on the situation. He's one of the best ever. And I enjoy Kevin Hart a lot. Logan Paul, my man, what are you, on Deca? 500 milligrams of testosterone a week? Are you on that Cipinate? Like, my man, you're looking big, buddy. You've gained about 30 to 40 pounds. I don't know where that's come from. And I know you put down $75,000 that you're going to score, but you're looking a little heavy. And the guys from Team USA, they can move a little bit. And some of these guys, they're NFL guys. They're going to be able to move. I don't know anymore if I will take the bet of you scoring. I'm still leaning towards it. I think they'll give you a shot. But you're looking a little big there, bud. But, I wouldn't mess with you, but you're still looking a little big. Also, Gronkowski was there, right? Rob was there. Logan was talking smack to Logan. Let's roll the clip.
What do you want, Tom?
Nothing.
Say something. You got a lot to say on my podcast. Now you got nothing to say?
I got nothing to say to you right now.
We might have a fight this weekend.
Okay.
WWE can't stop me from
You might wear a helmet because that ball
field.
might get loose in my hand, and if you're not paying attention.
Bro, you're talking about a ball. I'm talking about fighting.
Hey man, what the fuck is happening, man?
We live in a WWE world. Kevin Hart's really small. That's all I can say. And these guys are just monsters. It looks like two Transformers next to an ant is what it looks like. But yeah, we live in a WWE world. This is where, the cameras are out. Nobody talks to each other anymore. They're trying to get the viral moment and get that picture and get the selfie and and hopefully if they can get a good enough video, they can go viral. And that's the world we live in today. But it's just incredible. Listen, I think after what I saw last night, how the teams were drafted, Team USA, the flag guys are going to give these guys a run for their money. And I think they're probably going to win this whole thing. I just can't see Luke Kuechly pulling Hoosh's flag. And if you guys don't know who Hoosh is the best flag football player in the world, arguably, but he's the face of Team USA football. And it's two different games. If you're expecting a guy that's 6'4" and looks like Megatron, you're wrong. He's just a smaller guy. And here's a clip of Hoosh and the way he moves. And I just don't see these NFL guys pulling his flag. And they got three more guys on that flag team that move like this, in Velt and Pablo. And you guys are going to start knowing who these guys are and these names. But look at that. I mean, they're not used to trying to grab a flag like that. They will try to tackle him before they pull the flag. It's just a different game. And after what I saw last night, I think they're treating it as a celebrity game. I said it on the podcast when we had Nico and Joe on, quarterback for Team Cuba and quarterback for Team USA. I think that they're just going to show up and have a good time, and it's going to be kind of Pro Bowl style. And Team USA has everything to play for. They are trying to play for 2028, right? The Olympics, first time that flag football is going to be in the Olympics, and they're fighting for it, and they want to show the whole entire country and the world that they belong in that game and not the NFL guys. I still think it should be a hybrid model. You sprinkle in a couple NFL guys with that team, and then you go try to win the gold, because you have guys that know how to play flag, and the NFL is not risking so many players being out there. It's only 10-man roster. Like, people need to understand that. And some of these offensive guys are going to have to play defense unless the Olympics change that and they take it to a 12-man roster, which this tournament's a 12-man roster, right? Or they take it up to a 15-man roster, and then that can help kind of negate if there's any injuries or any guys get tweaked up and they have to pull them out. But imagine you have a Justin Jefferson that's playing offense and now he's got to go play corner. How's that going to work? How these NFL franchises that are spending all this money on these guys on guaranteed contracts and they're the face of their organization, now they go get hurt in a flag football game. That's very, yeah, sure, you're winning a gold for your country, but it's very meaningless because you're not playing other professional tackle football guys. You're playing professional flag guys, right? Like Mexico and Austria and on of the teams. I think it's only 6 teams that are going to be playing, but does it mean enough to these NFL guys? And that's the question I have. I think it means more to the NFL because they're trying to get that that global reach with these countries, and they're doing the vehicle to get a bigger audience in the world is through flag football, because flag football is one of the fastest growing sports, especially when it comes to women's. And that's the vehicle the NFL has chosen to get their brand out globally. So it's just interesting to see how this is going to shake up on Saturday. And I think that Team USA is going to show why the game of flag football is different from tackle. Next week, we might be having a different conversation. These guys, the NFL guys, just go out and kick these guys' asses. And I'm going to have to stick my tongue, where. But I don't think that's going to be the case here. I think it's way bigger. And the last point that I'm going to make on why the NFL is trying to do what they're trying to do. There was a club game. I think it was one of the Manchester Uniteds in England. Don't quote me on this, but there was a Saturday regular season game in the Premier League, and the Super Bowl was the following day. The Super Bowl had about 130 to 140 million viewership, right? Which broke records supposedly. That regular season game in that soccer game was 750 million people globally was watching that game, and it was a regular season game. So that shows you the drastic, comparison or how not compare they are to each other when it comes to notoriety and the views that they're getting, right? The NFL is trying to get at that global scale where FIFA's at, where these club teams are at, the Barcelonas, the Real Madrids. But the only way they're going to do it is if they grow their international brand. And the only way that I think that they think they can do it is through the flag game to pique the interest into the NFL game. And then they can start putting teams on a global level. So that's kind of the strategy there. But listen, can't wait to see. iShow Speed's going to be out there. Logan Paul, Drewski. It's just going to be a fun weekend. But I think the Team USA guys are going to really take it serious and try to kick these guys' asses. And I think that these guys are going to treat it more like a celebrity game. Maybe they wake up and they don't want to be embarrassed by these amateurs in their minds. We'll see. Anyways, that concludes our show today. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And thank you for supporting.